Another one that comes up, this is a little broad, but is there ultimate meaning? I'm not really sure what people are asking when they say this. There seems to be two ways that this question gets utilized. The first is that when people say is there ultimate meaning, they seem to be asking, is there one meaning that everybody has to find, and like there's one meaning for everyone and we all have to find the same thing? Or they seem to be describing ultimate meaning as a fabric that binds and connects all other forms of meaning. Like, what's more meaningful for you may not be what's meaningful for me, but they're not mutually exclusive. In some way, they create a connection, they bind together, and they actually enhance one another. I don't know how. I definitely am unpersuaded of that first one, because what's meaningful to this person, that person, you, me, whoever, all seems to be a little different. So I don't know if there's ultimate meaning in that regard, but I am very convinced in the second one, which is that all meanings somehow interplay and interconnect and can work together. And I guess there's a kind of a third one, which is just what do people value? And people can value any kind of thing. I mean, what this person values or what that person values. If you want to say that's meaning, fine. That's a little. That's a bit of a superficial definition of the word, but I can see how just practically it would be effective in terms of utility. So sure, if you want to say what this person cares about or what that person cares about, then anything can mean anything to anyone. Okay, but for me, I do think, like I said, that second major one, which is the interconnectedness of meaning, because the only thing I found is that whatever people ascribe real significant meaning to, it's always found in some sort of interaction with other people. It's usually found in helping others. Whether you're coaching, you're creating a business that's solving a problem for people, you're providing for a family, you're creating art that other people can enjoy and it's done sincerely, you're creating some sort of better world for people to live in, if you're thinking of how you're gonna clean up the oceans or whatever have you, or build a better system for doing things, anything that's going to give back to other humans and give back to the people around you. Everybody, when they talk about having found true meaning, there's usually that pattern. So you can recognize this pattern showing up over and over and over and over and over. Somebody may care about the stereotypical, drinking every day, living in the grandma's basement kind of thing. They may say, oh, this is what I care about, and therefore, not participating in reality, not pursuing any sort of growth or ambition is what I care about, and this is what I like. Just a totally hedonic black hole that they're operating in. We're using the word differently in that regard, but if they want to say that's what means the most to them, which is just feel good and be safe and be comfortable, you can't really argue with that. You just have to, at a certain point, you have to just let people do what they're going to do. Is there a God? Do I believe in God? Yes, absolutely. I don't think it's Yahweh or Jehovah or any of these other names that people come up with. The simplest way I'll try to break this down is actually borrowing an Alan Watts quote. He said, if you want to say that consciousness is just complex dirt and material, then you're also saying that dirt, physical matter, is just a very simple form of consciousness. And so it's a bit of panpsychism in terms of how I would make this description. Is just, we know, okay, I exist, I'm a physical being and I'm conscious. I think as much as people want to debate what it means for something to be conscious, we all agree that humans are conscious, humans are sentient. If anything is conscious and self-aware, it's people, right? We're all stemming from that sort of, hey, I'm alive, right? You put something on my face, I'm gonna see it in the mirror, I'll touch it. So I'm physical, I'm made of matter, I have a mind, and I'm conscious. So we know that physical matter has the potential to be conscious, has the potential for sentience. And it's either that once physical matter is arranged in such a way those latent components of consciousness are aligned in such a way that they can produce a sentient experience. The same way that if you took all the pieces of a car, you separated them all out, you don't have anything, but if you assembled them in a certain way, all of a sudden you have a vehicle that can operate and achieve a specific outcome, right? So the potential for a working vehicle is there, it just has to be assembled correctly. Now it can bloom. Or there's some sort of antenna thing going on where if you look at an old school TV with the rabbit ears, you had to get it set up and the physical equipment had to be constructed in such a way that it could receive the signal. And now you have a signal and you can watch the TV, but the people aren't in the TV, it's coming from somewhere else being imported. So either way, consciousness and sentience is part of physical reality. And if you can perceive of me having a small consciousness and I also have this small physical amount of matter that I take up, you can very easily get to a broader scale, like fractals that just build and multiply over and over and over. So once we get to that, once we get to saying, okay, all of the physical universe is constructed very similar to the way that the neurons in our brain are constructed, and you see these patterns show up physically. And we also know that if you can have a small pattern with small consciousness, it doesn't seem that far-fetched to say if we have this large pattern and this larger system, we can get a larger mind. And everything seems to stem from some creative impulse and creative patterns. And there are metaphysical truths that only seem to exist in some sort of mind state, but they transcend an individual mind. They transcend an individual person. So I'm not super versed on the idea of consciousness being non-local. I'm not sure what that means. It sounds like something where people think they can like astral project their body and fly around and go look at China or something, but I don't know too much about that. So it seems pretty obvious that you can get from just a simple thought experiment, okay, I'm aware, I'm physical matter, so clearly physical matter has the potential to host consciousness. And I think that at the bottom of all that, there is some sort of matter broken down becomes energy, and I think energy broken down becomes potential. And that potential has to be housed somewhere, and if we say it's housed in a mind, or I think a mind is the only place it could be housed. So our descriptions of God kind of get to parts of that, and they kind of work to personify God in more readily understandable and palatable ways. So that was a few things, probably gonna do a part 2 to this.